up, world? It's your boy, Mike Muse, hosting the conversation, the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversations again with my next two guests. I couldn't think of a way to end my vacation and start the good work week with these two dynamic individuals because, listen, it is the summer season. It is baseball. It is the boys of summer, as they say. And I have some baseball legends here with me, returning again from the Players Alliance, Mr. Edwin Jackson. What's happening, brother?
What's good, Mike? How you doing,
How you feeling? Just coming off the red eye?
Man, I'm good. I'm here, man. I'm blessed to be in your presence.
Man, likewise as well. Yeah. And then we also, too, have the incredible Curtis Granderson. What's up, boy?
Everything is well, but you said you're ending your vacation, so
yes.
You're not supposed to be here on vacation. You're supposed to be somewhere else where I've been following you on social.
I know.
Jet setting and popping off planes and doing all that.
Bro, thank you so much, man, but all good things must come to an end, as they say. But I will have to say, this was my first time taking a 2-week vacation.
Ooh.
I've never done that in my entire life before. I was nervous going into it. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I had a great pep talk with a colleague, and she actually helped me settle. She was just like, you deserve it. You've earned it. Relax, chill, cut off.
Were you able to put the phone down?
I was.
Okay.
Except the post.
Which doesn't count. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about for you guys, though? Have you guys ever taken, I mean, obviously, when you guys were playing, there's off seasons, but I think even with legends like you guys, you're still training, you're still on. Have you guys been able to take that 2 week when you were an active player?
I would take off October, and then I go back in the gym in November.
Okay. Yeah. What about you?
Workout-wise, yeah, take a break off of it. But I'm similar to you. Like, once I would get out there and go, and I love to travel, but being able to connect to Wi-Fi, always having some sort of access point. I couldn't just always keep it down unless I was completely remote and there was just nothing available. But I was still staying connected to some extent, but I still enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not? But you just said something really interesting. You said you only took a month off, and then you kind of went right back into that. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. When we think about like basketball, when we think about in terms of extending the football season, which I'm actually against because of the body, the wear and tear, but for baseball too as well. Things we were talking about the last time you guys were here about travel ball. One, just how expensive it is, but that actually extends the year. You being a pitcher, like, what are your thoughts on the way now that baseball is almost 365, and I'm just thinking about the wear and tear on the arm, in particular for a pitcher?
Man, I would say definitely at a younger age, it has an effect on a kid because you only have so many throws, so many runs in your body. As you get older and your body matures and you get stronger, you can withstand a lot more. But some of these kids, they go year round, man. And the other thing is it wears you out from the game. If you end up, if this is something you want to pursue for a living, once you in it, you doing this every single day. You eat, sleep, you dream baseball, you think baseball. So as a kid, that's why I try to tell people that let the kids play other sports, because once you're doing this one sport particularly the whole time, it comes to a point where people get bored of it and they start to hate it.
What about, does it impact your muscle memory?
Muscle memory, for me, I mean, because even when I took off in October, I'm still playing with the kids. I'm still throwing balls. It's just not as high intensity as it would be if I'm training to get ready. So even with my break, I'm still active and I'm still moving. It's just not as high as of intensity as I would, like I said, getting ready for the season. But my body bounced back good, man. I mean, I was lucky that I didn't ice. I still never iced, even after the little Negro League game we had. I didn't ice, and I thought I was going to be sore, but I was good.
Okay, so we have like the incredible biology human specimen over here.
He
Curtis.
could do it all. No. He could do it all over there.
Yeah.
But to your point, I mean, it's on that. For example, when Edwin and I both started our professional careers, we're now being paid to play baseball games. They send you to what's called short season. Short season is kind of modified right now, but you would play up to 74 games. Kids and parents are coming up to us now that do the travel ball circus saying, my son or daughter is playing 80 games, 90 games, 100 games, and they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And no one sees a problem with that. Yeah. We got paid to play less games than these kids are going out and paying to play. So to that point, I think that's what's leading to a lot of the injuries, a lot of the fatigue, a lot of the burnout. You never want to have anybody in the situation say, I'm done playing because I'm just tired, right? As a kid, you don't get tired, right? You shouldn't be sore. You shouldn't be hurt unless you actually really get injured, like you run into somebody or something like that. But to have the injuries we have, the number of Tommy John surgeries already at such a young age, like, did you ever have Tommy John?
Never.
Never had it, right? We got kids right now that have already had 2.
Oh my God.
You know, so it's amazing just how that is. But I always really want to stick that part in with the parents and the kids. Yeah. Professional baseball players get paid to play less games than your kids are out there playing, and they're paying to play that many games. We got to find that problem and go ahead and say, let the kids be a kid. Let them swim in the pool. Let them play other parties. Let them play other sports. Let them go to the movies. Let them just hang out for a little bit, because you only get that once.
You do, but you kind of led me to something else that I've been thinking about, not necessarily just with baseball, but, we always, which I love talking with you guys, because you guys are really bridging the gap, both economically and just awareness in terms of travel ball, how expensive baseball is. But something I talk about often is how most under-resourced neighborhoods and communities often too don't have like the personal trainers, the volunteer doctors, the physical therapists that are needed. You just mentioned you guys are professional ball players, so you had all of that. What are you guys seeing, like as you're talking, to parents or teams who may not have the adequate sideline staff, that is needed, and how do you think we should be addressing that, or should we be bringing awareness to this?
I think it even goes a step further than that. I mean, you have lack of coaching in that area, because depending what area you grew up in, a lot of your coaches are the parents, and the parents either were around the game, so at least they have enough information to get you started. But if I never played the game, I'm a little bit reluctant to go ahead and try to coach the game. So what we've been doing with the Players Alliance is coaching the coaches. Get those father figures and those brothers and those aunts and those uncles and those moms and those teachers that all live in the community say, I want to be out there, but I didn't play the game. So we bring people that have coached at the highest level and say, this is how you can run a practice. This is how you can get the introduction started. So that gets that part going. But then to your point of the injuries and all that side of things, I mean, you got to have someone out there, because somebody's going to get hurt at some point, whether they slide into a base too hard or get hit by a ball or step on a base funny. And it is an interesting thing to think about, the lack of just trainers and staff and medical, just trying to see if there's any volunteers in the area or people that have to do the time. Yeah. A lot of times as you're going through your PT programs or going through your nursing programs, you need to put in so many volunteer hours. What better place to volunteer than on the sports field in these areas where financially they may not have the ability to bring it on a consistent basis. You get your time served, they get some help. It could be a win-win.
And in particular, Edwin, I was thinking too about like the extreme heat that we're facing, right? So you have the dehydration, the issues related to heat.
Man, this is bad. And I'm in Arizona where it's 115, 112, 110. And I try to tell my son this, and I'm like, by the time you feel yourself thirsty, you already dehydrated. By the time your body and your mind tells your body I'm thirsty, you've already needed water probably for an hour or two. And so I try to tell him, like, you drink to prevent. You try to drink. You don't want to feel like you ever super, super thirsty. Obviously, you don't want to overhydrate, but he young and he don't get it. So I'm kind of waiting till the day where he get his the real cramp, so he can kind of conceptualize like, oh, okay, this is what my dad talking about. Because as far as I'm talking to him, I'm just dad and I don't know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what I've done, but you have to treat the body like a temple, man. What you put in is what you get out, and these kids are fortunate enough to have all this information at a younger age than we had. We probably grew up on Gatorade and Kool-Aid and drinking whatever water there was, but now they have all the resources where you can kind of get the body right. And the ones that aren't able to take advantage of, it's important for those that can help out, to go and be a resource for them. And the ones that can take advantage of it, it's important for them to go ahead and take advantage of it and not be not be complacent because they can have it and feel like they don't need it, because there's a lot of kids that want it and can't get it, and so you have to take advantage of that.
I think that's a good point, audience, for you guys to rewind what Edwin just said, because you made me think about something. It's like by the time you are already thirsty, it's already too late, right? And so you want to drink to prevent, not to react, which is what we're doing most oftentimes, is reacting. Even myself as a grown man never thought about it like that, but that is so true, particularly in this heat. Edwin, I'm just thinking about this. I love when you guys came and we got a chance to learn about the Players Alliance. And I'm just wondering for you, and then Curtis too, jump into as well, when you guys were envisioning this and dreaming this, just a little bit in the conversation we've already gotten to already, almost new challenges keep getting unearthed, right? When you created this, did you think there would be this many challenges once you started doing the work?
That's life. You just never know. And I think the great purpose that we learn is how to pivot. You know, how can you make adjustments on the fly? It's kind of a testament to the game that we play. Being a professional in a baseball game is how can he adjust to the pitcher? How can I adjust to the batter? So this game of baseball is almost like a game of life. And when we come to doing something, I mean, I've done philanthropic work, but I've never been in the membrane of, of a charity like this. So I kind of go into it with no expectations, just open arms and ready for whatever happens. But there's also a learning experience that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to deal with adversity and internally and keep it looking great externally for everybody else that's watching.
Yeah. How do you stay focused, Curtis? Because there's so many issues.
I think the biggest thing is just realizing that, and we're all roughly the same age here, things may be slightly different than it was when we were kids. And we also have to listen. So I think that allows us to be focused because they're going to guide us. This younger generation of players are going to tell us about the things that are the issue for them. And a lot of things that we had heard was probably some stuff we talked about, I'm sure you hear. The game is expensive. Bats are expensive. Gloves are expensive. But the one thing that we just found out that was eye-opening to us, these kids want the bat bags.
Oh.
Because when they step on the field and the other team, each player has a bat bag and they don't, they feel different. They feel less than. I don't look the part. So the crazy part about that is it's less expensive than the bats and the gloves. It's unisex. So you can put it on the softball players. You can put it on the baseball players. As long as we all have our bat bag, now we look like today's baseball player when we step on that field. So hearing what are some of those necessities now as part of the adapting, like Edwin said it, we may get ready to go out there and play today in Yankee Stadium, and all of a sudden it starts raining. Well, we got to adjust our plan accordingly. Just like we thought it was going to be mostly bats and gloves and balls, we talked to the kids and found out, well, that's the need that they have. And that's just one of the areas that we've been hearing about.
But that's so interesting because when you think about sports, no matter what sport you're playing, it's always mental. Says an individual who never played a sport, but watching you guys, which is why I love sports so much, is because your body can do what the average body just can't, watching it. And it's mental, if anything else. I can only imagine that if you feel less than when you step out into the diamond, how that impacts your psyche, because baseball is not only physical, but it's also mental and strategy based.
Yeah, I mean, you're already defeated. And in baseball, it's so many different things that can automatically get you off your game. Typically, the biggest and the strongest and the fastest and the slowest really kind of neutralize. But when you go out there, and I'm getting ready to face Edwin Jackson, I've never faced anybody that's thrown 95 miles an hour, and he does that. That's an intimidation factor. Yeah. So that's one thing. Now we got players that all look a certain way. They all got their uniforms. They all got their numbers. They all got their names on the back. We don't have that. We got that one little Army green duffel bag, and we're sharing a bat and sharing helmets and doing all that stuff. Yeah. So that can make it challenging, and trying to just get over that and then still go out there and hit the baseball against an Edwin Jackson.
On top of looking different from everybody.
Yeah.
So you're already coming into it with a different factor. You look different, you feel different, and once you don't have the necessities, you feel like you're not as good as the other players before you get on the field. To go back to what you said, Kurt.
I hate to do this, but I guess I have to be vulnerable for a quick second because, we all have our biases that we bring to any situation. And just listen to you guys. Although I was not an athlete, I was part of the state championship marching band.
There you go.
So, but with that, I went to a public school, Lansing Public School, but it was well resourced because of our tax base that we had. We had 3 manufacturing facilities operating at one time, state employees, city employees. So we had a really functioning tax revenue base. And so every kid got an instrument. We had about 110, 20-member marching band. Everyone got uniforms, no matter what your size was. And we were competing across the state, and we would go compete, and there would be other schools that didn't have the uniforms. They would probably have like jogging pants and a T-shirt that said their marching band. And I got to be honest, the biases that was associated, we knew we were going to more than likely crush them.
And imagine what they felt.
And I'm trying to be polite because I don't want the audience to think less of me.
Y'all looked the part.
Yeah, we looked the part. It was almost like a no-brainer. We was like, yo, why are they even here? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And audience, go easy on me. I was 14, 15, 16 years old. But that does come into your psyche that we automatically knew we were going to crush them. So then that gave us us an extra amount of confidence.
No doubt.
Right? And then we saw, like, as they say, like a sliver in the armor, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so
yes,
you go further in the paint, make sure your scales are perfect and your high step is clean. So I completely understand what that means. That's unfortunate.
And don't shy away from it. I mean, the audiences listening have probably been on one side or the other. And some point, like you mentioned, the band. Yeah. You mentioned your schools. You know, your school was better than probably another school down the street. So whether it was in sports, whether it was the college you went to, why do people put the name of the university they went to on their resume? They want you to see it.
They do.
Right? And they know that this one's going to look a little bit better than the other one. So it happens in a number of different ways. But the big thing is, if we know it's out there and we can't get it, that's the part that starts to get you a little bit.
Yeah, that is. Now, speaking of biases, audience, I only had one question for these gentlemen before they came up. Plus, anytime I get a chance to talk with them, I'm always going to take the opportunity. But the moment that the MLB announced that they were updating the stats to include the Negro League, I think I DM'd each and every single one of you, and I probably would have called your cell phone if I didn't hear back from you in enough time, because I just had to get your thoughts on that. But it's fascinating because of the world that we're living in. So much has changed and other things that come in baseball that I want to talk with you about. But first, I just want to get your reaction, Edwin, about the stats being added.
I think it's amazing, man. First of all, is giving the players that played in the Negro Leagues the credit they deserved. I feel like with the stats not counting in the MLB era, it almost was a discredit to the Negro Leagues, like it wasn't as good as MLB. And I would bet that a lot of those players would argue that if they weren't better, they were just as good as MLB. Obviously, they felt they were just as good as MLB, but I would argue that a lot of those players felt like they were better than a lot of those players that were already in the MLB. So for the families and the Negro League players that are still alive today to be able to enjoy the fact that they are going to see some of their family members, some of their dads or uncles or brothers or whatever it may be, going to the top of some of those leaderboards, it's a very embracing moment. It's a very heartfelt moment, and it's a proud moment that all that hard work is getting acknowledged on a different scale than it has been for all these years.
Mm-hmm. That's legacy.
It's so exciting to see it, and this game is so stats driven. So when you say, okay, who's got the most hits and who's got the most runs, we go and look it up. It may not be a player you know, it may be a player you know, but once you see it, now I dig a little more and I try to find out about this. So the fact that those Negro League players' stats are now in there and they move into some of the top leaderboards, as I'm doing my research as a baseball fan, as a kid, who's this Josh Gibson? Who's this cool Papa Bell? Who's this Satchel Paige? I'm going to want to learn more. So I'm excited about it from that side of it. And then it ruffles things up. Everyone's talking about it across the bar. Well, where did they get them from? And they didn't play complete games. Well, so everyone knows this wasn't just the three of us in a back room coming together saying, you know what? I heard Josh Gibson hit 500 home runs. I think he hit 500 home runs. There was representation from Major League Baseball, the Players Association, Negro League descendants. There was statisticians. There was a number of people that were put together and worked on this for about 5 years to finally put it together. And it said it's not even complete. It's about 75% done. So there's still some more stuff coming out.
Whoa.
And then the crazy part about it is everyone goes, well, how do you add in these stats where games weren't complete or players didn't play enough games? Well, there's already been a rule in Major League Baseball that if a player is so dominant and the numbers are just so off the charts, you can modify accordingly. And this isn't the first time it's happened. It's happened most recently with players such as Joey Votto, New York Yankee Giancarlo Stanton. He won a slugging title, but he had a couple injuries, didn't have enough at bats. So you go, okay, that's some of the new players. Let's take it back. Ted Williams was a recipient of it. Ty Cobb was a recipient of it. But now that we have Josh Gibson and some of these greats, everyone's questioning, well, they didn't play enough games.
Yeah.
These are some of the people in the past that were recipients that won batting titles and won other awards by not having enough games played as well. So this isn't the first time this has happened. So for that, I'm even more excited because there's still a lot that's going to come out from this.
Yo, I've never heard that explained like this.
That's why he the mayor. That's why he the mayor.
So we have 2 points that we need to rewind. Edwin's commentary and your commentary on that, because I was thinking about the biases. That's what kind of led me to the moment about the Negro League, is because there's been so much negative pushback to that as well. But when there's data, not only is there data with the number and the stats, but then there's data in the sense of evidence when it's been happening, when it's advantaged white players, right? And so I think there actually needs to be more, which I'm glad you're here on the show. And it starts with this show right here and others too. I don't think I'm alone in this, with bringing awareness, to the data and to the stats, right, in terms of how to push back on the biases that are associated with it. But I think too, Edwin, about legacy, you make me think about something completely different too as well when you were saying how the family members now can see their loved ones right at the top of the leaderboard. You guys have been, the last couple of months since that announcement happened, been around Negro League commemoration events. How have you been talking to players and alumni and loved ones of the Negro League responding to seeing their loved ones now in the different leaderboard categories?
I feel like it's been a spark. We've had a chance to talk to some family members prior to this information coming out, and now that it's official, they're definitely walking with a little different bounce in the step, and it's deservingly so. These families dealt with a lot. They dealt with a lot more than our kids have to deal with us. It's different times. There was a lot of racism. It was a lot of this and a lot of that they had to go through, going to towns where they had to do certain things. They can't stay in certain places. So for the families to be able to enjoy this, for the legacies and the few players that are around, man, they deserve a pat on the back, man. Their family members, they endured a lot, and they went through a lot. And like you say, these numbers are real. These aren't fabricated numbers. And if the greats are the greats, then let them be with the greats of MLB. These are the greats of Negro Leagues who who knew they can play with anybody in MLB. There was zero doubt about that. So let the numbers shine with everybody else's.
It wasn't beautiful, Curtis, that Willie Mays got to see that before his passing.
And he got 10 extra hits. Yeah. He got 10 extra Negro League hits added to his amazing career. Now, baseball has an amazing way of working timing-wise, so he got to see that happen, but unfortunately he didn't get a chance to see the game at Rickwood, America's oldest ballpark, home to the Birmingham White Barons and the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues. And Major League Baseball played their first ever game in the state of Alabama last week. And it was great to see. So you had some of those Negro League players who played in the game actually there, some of their descendants there. They did an amazing job putting that field together, and I hope they continue to do something more with it, because now the field's in amazing shape.
Yeah.
And, keep the baseball legend and history going with it, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's more exhibition games, whether it's more major league games.
Yeah.
Utilize the history, keep the history going, but it's great that they got a chance to see it.
But you guys have had, the Players Alliance have had your hands in so much. With the Rickwood game, you guys were doing activations. Edwin, tell us a little bit more about what you guys were doing there, and then I want to learn more about the Soul of the Game exhibition that you guys did too as well.
Man, so
y'all been busy.
We do have a lot going on.
It's a busy organization.
We do have a lot going on. Alongside with the Rickwood game in Alabama, we have a Play Ball Jubilee that we are doing in Alabama, where we're bringing all these young high school kids, softball as well, and letting them have like a showcase game where we got the music, they got the vibes, you don't have to worry about how your hair look. You come be yourself and show us what you have. It's a real showcase of talent and who you are. We also have a Dirty Derby, the home run derby, where we have the music playing. The kids get to have the nicknames on the back of the jerseys, and they get to come show their flair. This game is obviously changing about flair. What can you do? What can we do to make the game exciting? And I think that's what our kids are missing in the game of baseball, the excitement factor of it. So this is a piece that makes the game exciting for them and make them want to come, so shining a different light on the game. We had the Negro League game, the East-West, where, we paid a nod to the Negro League players. And, we had us old-timers and retired guys out there playing, which was fun as well. It was a lot of fun. But to put on that uniform, you get a sense of feeling like, you're paying homage to somebody who really wore this uniform and some hard times to play. So it felt good to go out there, and give a nod to all those players that wore those uniforms for us. And, like I said, we had fun with it, but there was some seriousness to it too, where we knew what came with those players putting on those uniforms, and we never took that for granted. So to go out there and play that game, it was amazing. It was fun.
I saw the joy in your Instagram.
Yeah. We had it. And we only had one person go down, so that's a lot less. That's a lot less than I expected.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a lot more people.
We thought it wasn't going to be good. You know, we old now, you know.
Y'all hydrated it first.
We hydrated first. It was getting hot.
Yeah.
But you know what was cool with that Souls of the Game exhibit that unveiled at Cooperstown in New York? We start with the game side of it. So this is the first time I'd ever played on an all-black team versus another all-black team.
Wow.
And the game was sold out. Yeah. So they do all these games in Cooperstown. Historically, I thought they were all selling out. They said this is the first game in Cooperstown that's been sold out like this. People were coming up to us and thanking us for being there and bringing all this volume to the community and seeing the exhibit, which was sponsored that Tuesday by the Players Alliance. Wow. Free admission to the Baseball Hall of Fame to see the souls of the game, the voices of the game exhibit. And it was just so cool because you see young players and old players and historic players, not only just the ones that we know from Jackie Robinson and Hank Aaron, but Larry Doby, who's the first person to break in on the American League side. And that's very important because they were late moving. It went National League, National League, National League, National League. Then you finally had somebody break in on the American League. So just a couple little tidbits like that just to see it. And for everyone to come out and want to see us play.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be sold out. And they said, this is a sellout crowd. Businesses, when people bought my parents ice cream, because they were in town, they said, thanks for coming. Here's some ice cream, you know.
Listen,
so, so cool.
It's about data. That's economic development, right? And it shows that when blackness is centered in baseball, it can be an economic driver of communities and cities, which is what we measure success, unfortunately or fortunately by. But at least we have the numbers that back that up. I can't let you guys wrap because you guys are in town, not just to talk to me, but you guys are doing something very special with the Bronx Children's Museum. Talk to us.
Yeah, so tonight we're actually headed over to the Chelsea Piers. The Bronx Children's Museum is honoring us, the New York Yankees, and our graffiti artists that put together a mural in the Bronx Children's Museum at the Bronx Terminal. And it's not just a mural. The cool part about this mural is it gives living Yankee greats their flowers right now. Yeah. The first ever black captain, Willie Randolph. Hall of Famers, Reggie Jackson, Derek Jeter, Dave Winfield. I'm calling her right now, future Hall of Famer, CeCe Sabathia.
Yes.
And the current captain, Aaron Judge.
Yes.
So as people are walking to and from the Children's Museum, they get a chance to see their icons in person and go, he looks like me. I like the way he's wearing his uniform. I like his number. I want to be like him. Because unfortunately, a lot of times you get the mural when you're gone.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure you get a chance to see them while they're here and say, okay, that's who I want to be like when I grow up. And that's what we're here for tonight, heading out there. So we want to thank the Bronx Children's Museum for giving us this opportunity. Then that's also going to open up an exhibit inside the black baseball players of all of New York. Yeah. So not only the players we just mentioned on the outside, but when you get inside, you'll see something about Elston Howard. You'll see stuff about Mickey Rivers. You'll see stuff about Mookie Wilson. You'll see stuff about all the greats that have played in this city. And the great thing about it is there's Children's Museum in all the major league cities. So this can easily be replicated in all the major league cities, which is the plan to move forward.
Edwin, you guys have done it again. I literally thought I was going to be able to make it through this interview without fanning out. And, of course, just like last time, there's a break in the interview where I'm like, I can't believe I'm fucking talking to you two right now and enjoying a game of baseball and conversation about baseball. Is just another pinch me moment. I thought I was going to be strong enough. The third time, I'll be stronger the third time. I won't break character and mode. But thanks for all that you guys do in centering blackness within baseball, within MLB. I think it's so important. Thank you for all you do about bridging the gap and the pipeline for getting more black players into this sport and for really centering legacy and Edwin bringing into the conversation about legacy and the importance of legacy and family members seeing their loved ones at the top of the leaderboard, because that changes a family, which changes a community, which also ultimately changes a culture.
No, we appreciate you being able to allow us to have the space to broadcast it on the show. You know, let the listeners hear about it. I feel like every time we come to you, it's a super inviting atmosphere. So it allows the space for everybody to kind of get giddy, and that's one of the best. That's one of the best answers, the best information, and it's truthful. So it's nothing fabricated. That's when we get the best of the best.
Man, I love y'all. I'm going to be stronger next time, audience. I
Oh,
swear.
no.
I won't fan out. I won't fan out next time. Until next time, folks, go to theplayeralliance.org.
That's it.
playersalliance.org. We got Players Alliance on IG. Check us out. Sign up. Check us out when we come to a city near you. If you want to donate. We are a 501c3. And we have a lot of things coming up in the future that a lot of people going to want to be a part of.
I love that. Until next time, folks. Peace.